One of the first things that you're going to want to do is figure out, how can I become an epic investor? So we know epic is ethical profits in crisis. And the next step is, how can I be an investor who is making acquisitions and investments and ownership plays in companies in a way that's ethical and helps me to get profits, right? Well, the easy thing here is to think about, how can I be attractive to the deals, to the people who have the deals that I'm looking for? And the answer to that is really simple. It's to be the thing that they want the most. Be the thing that they want the most. Now, what do they want the most? Okay, well, if you think about most companies, they're looking for money. They're looking for money to do things. They're looking for money that will allow them to hire a marketing team. They're looking for money that will allow them to run ads. They're looking for money that will allow them to hire people who can run the company. They might be looking for money to help them get inventory to sell or develop products. All kinds of things, right? Buy physical assets for the company, buy machines to make things, buy the raw materials to create things. There's all kinds of reasons that people who own companies want to have money. Now, a lot of the people that we're looking for will be looking to get some money to get out of their business, to actually sell it. But all of these people have this one thing in common. They're looking for something called an investor. And so if we want to be as attractive as possible to the people who we're trying to reach, the people that own these businesses and are thinking about selling them, or maybe they haven't even yet thought about selling, but they have some need for something, then if we can be an investor, we're going to be the most appealing thing that we can be to these potential companies, right? To these companies that are potential sellers. Okay, so that said, then the next step is, well, what is an investor? I don't have a lot of cash. You've told me, Roland, that you acquire a lot of companies without using any cash out of pocket, and that's true. So how do you do that? How do you do that if you're saying you're an investor? Well, it really comes down to considering, what is it to be an investor? And if you look up the definition of investor, an investor is someone who brings capital to a company. Someone who brings capital to a company. Now, a lot of us make the mistake of thinking that that means that we need to have a big pile of money, we need to have a big checkbook with a lot of money in our bank account, or we need to have some fund or a bank loan or something like that to be able to do a deal and call ourselves an investor, because that's what capital is. But that's not the case. Capital, if you look up the definition of capital, capital is anyone who brings resources, right? Any resources that are brought that are of value to the company. So here's the cool thing, is we just talked about all the reasons that most companies, most owners think that they need money and that they need an investor who's going to bring money. But the truth is that they almost never want money for money's sake, unless they're only selling, right? If they're just looking to grow the business in some way, they're not generally needing the money itself. What they need is what the money can buy. And it's actually true even with sellers, because sellers don't necessarily generally want money. They've got some reason for selling, and they want whatever the money can buy for them. So if that is the case, then we change our mindset a little bit. We change our frame, our viewpoint, to say, well, I can be an investor as long as I can bring capital, something that is of value, some resource that is of value to the company, to the company. Well, that's really cool, because that means that then you could have all kinds of things that would be of value to the company that would be considered capital. It could be your network. It could be your knowledge. It could be your intellectual property. It could be the resources that you have access to. It could be your ability to help them get a credit line, your ability to help them run the company. Any of the things that they would normally be seeking money for, you can bring to the table through your network, your resources, your personal skills, and you don't actually have to have cash. So this is like the overarching thing that's really important for you to understand, because we do not need cash money to buy businesses. We do not need to have a bunch of cash in our pockets to be an investor. We only need to have resources that will be valuable to the company. And we'll talk about a whole lot of that as we get deeper into the program. But the very first thing for you to understand is that to be attractive to companies, you want to position yourself as an investor. And if you can get comfortable with the fact that an investor does not have to have a big pile of cash, that an investor simply has to be able to bring capital to a company, and capital can be any resource that's a thing of value to the company, then you can feel very comfortable calling yourself an investor, okay? That's really what I'm after. I want you to say, I am an investor. I want you to say it right now. You say, I am an investor. Did you say it? I am an investor, okay? That is really critical as you go through the rest of the program for you to understand, okay? You will be bringing things of value to the company. Those things will be considered capital. That, by definition, literally, makes you an investor. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. So how are you going to position yourself as an investor? Well, the best thing to do would be for you to tell everybody that you're an investor. In our world, one of the first things that happens when you meet somebody in any context, whether it's social, riding up and down an elevator, sitting on an airplane, at a networking event, they say, what do you do? Even if it's at your family reunion or a dinner with your family and somebody comes in, when you first meet somebody, it's generally, hey, how are you doing? What's your name? Or my name is, and then the first question you typically get back is either, how are you doing? Or very soon after that, so what do you do, right? So what do you do? Well, I want your answer to so what do you do to be, I'm an investor, because that is very interesting to people. People don't understand, how do people invest and make money, and I want to do that and I don't know how to do that, right? They want to know, what do you know that I don't know about making money? So positioning yourself as an investor makes you one of the most interesting people in the room. So positioning yourself as an investor in a conversation, that's the first place. But I also want the world, when they reach out to find out about you, I want them to see that you're an investor too. So it's important that you're not only positioned when you're having an oral conversation with somebody as an investor, but it's also important that when people go out and check you out, as they invariably will, they'll Google you, they'll look for you on social media, that when they do that, they find information that supports the fact that you're an investor. So you need to let the world know that you're an investor. So if you check out the screen right now, you'll see that this is my Twitter profile. The very first thing there says, I'm an investor, right? I want you to do that too. If you're on Twitter, then I want you to change your profile, whatever else you are in the world, to also say that you're an investor. If that's the first thing you say or that's the second thing you say, it doesn't really matter. But what happens is that then confirms to anybody that's checking you out that they have indeed found an investor. You're like putting it out there that you are. Here's the other cool thing about putting it out there that you're an investor. When people are looking at your social media and your online presence, then they're going to see you're an investor, and so they will start referring you deals. So presenting yourself, positioning yourself as an investor out there in the world will also help you generate deal flow. So you can see that I've done this on my Twitter. Also, if you're not on Twitter, it's probably a good idea for you to be there. If you're not on the major social media channels, it's a good idea for you to have profiles there, even if you don't do a whole lot of posting, because people are going to check you out. And these things rank well. So if somebody Googles you and the things that come up are your Twitter profile, your Facebook profile, your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, whatever it is that you are choosing to do socially, those things rank really high. And then they click on them and they see, hey, this person's out there. They actually are an investor and they've got some presence out in the world. So my LinkedIn profile, the very first thing you can see, it says investor as well. You should definitely have a LinkedIn profile. If you're going to be doing this acquisition stuff, this investment banking, mergers and acquisitions, buying and selling businesses stuff, then you need to be on the most professional website that is out there. The website for professionals, the website of choice is the social media channel called LinkedIn. So I would really like for you to have a LinkedIn profile, and you'll find as we get deeper that you'll be using several of these social media profiles and these platforms to actually source deals. And the more places that you show up, the more places that you have that will be able to generate deals for you. You can present basically the same kinds of content on these platforms if you decide that you want to do that, and repurpose it across all of them so that you have a presence on all the major platforms. And I do really strongly recommend that. LinkedIn, if I could only pick one, would be the one that I would say you want to have when you're doing this mergers and acquisitions, buying, selling business stuff. Okay, my Instagram also says, you can see it's the second thing on my Instagram. It says mentor and investor. And then also on Facebook, I have that as well. Now, I don't have up here my TikTok, but I'm on TikTok as well, and you'll see that I'm positioned as an investor there. And I have a YouTube channel that's not giant, but has built up about 6 million or so minutes per year of consumed videos, and that's pretty cool. So across all these social channels now, over the past couple of years that I've been active on social, I've been able to build up about 1,100,000 person reach. I'm working to build more of that, but what's cool about that is that that means that there's roughly 1 million people out there that I have let know that I am an investor, I do deals, I'm looking to do deals, I like to partner on deals, and that I'm a mentor. So that can be very, very helpful. Now, if you have 0 followers and 0 presence, the only way that you're ever going to get started is to take the first step. So take the first step today and go, and if you don't already have a Twitter profile and a LinkedIn profile, create those 2. If you have those 2, then also, and if you already have some of these, then great. But you should also think about Facebook and Instagram. You should think about TikTok and YouTube. I think if you can get those channels and just get a profile set up and let the world know that you're an investor, that's going to be key. Now, if you've already got some or all of those profiles, then consider adding the word investor as the first or second thing on the title about what you do, okay? Because that's going to let people know that you're serious about this, and then that's going to tell them that you're looking for investments and that you'd like to do deals. If you want a lot of additional really cool stuff, I've got a whole channel full of it, and you should subscribe so that you don't miss any of it, because I'm uploading videos all the time. There's a lot of things that are changing in this area, and you don't want to miss out. You don't want to do it wrong, and you don't want to make the mistakes I made. Subscribe so that you don't miss out, and then check out this next video.